everyone, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Kelly and I'm an indoor hydroponic gardener. Today I'm going to do an update video on some of the dwarf tomatoes I've been growing, and I wanted to share with you guys kind of how I felt about them, whether I'd want to grow them again, because I've been trialing just for myself. I don't get paid to trial any of these, but I've been testing out some different dwarf varieties of cherry tomatoes and slicers, and I just am trying to find something that's not such a micro dwarf like this red robin, but something a little bit bigger that would fit in this lower section of my garden, which I know looks pretty bare, but it's because there's tomatoes coming out the side of my hydroponic system, which I do talk about in my last hydroponic tour. The other side looks pretty bare too, because I got my jalapenos started, and that will take up most of this half side of this garden. So during the video, I'm going to be putting up videos of the tomatoes or pictures in this section of the screen. And we're going to take a closer look at the tomato right behind me. This is a dwarf mocha cherry. And it's actually ripe now, and the tomatoes are pretty much dark purple or black in color. And in my last hydroponic tour, you can kind of see them right down there actually in the video. In my last hydroponic tour, I tried one of them, but they weren't ripe yet. And that was a little over a week ago. And one of them, this one in the back here, feels ripe. So I think we should try it out today, because that would be really cool. And it tasted pretty good, even unripe, so I'm pretty excited about it. So let's start with the 4 that I've tried so far. Other than, again, my staples like the mini Siam or red robin. This is the red robin cherry tomato. I grow that one a lot, and I always have it in my garden. But these other ones I've only grown once. And I just want to let you know how I felt about them, and if you want to give them a try, I'll tell you how big they get as well, or you'll see in the pictures and videos too. Because I think that information is really important, especially if you're growing in a small space. And I had to really trial that out because some of them are bigger or smaller than I thought. So let's start with the very first one I tried quite a while ago. This is the Thorburns Terracotta, and it's actually a Baker Creek seed. I know it's not showing up, but that's fine. I got it for free. It was actually one of their free seeds. And I looked up how big it got, and it's about 24 inches, so about 2 feet tall. And I was like, well, this is about 18 inches to give you guys an idea. So that's why I have the tomatoes coming out the side, because I want to grow something a little larger than 20 or 18 inches. So what I really like about this Thorburn Terracotta is it's like a true slicer tomato. So again, I'll show you guys some pictures and videos, but this thing gets pretty big. This is the biggest one I've grown so far. It's like the size of I would say a tennis ball, if you squished it. So the color was really nice too. It kind of had like this dark red color. Then they got kind of bright too, like as the older ones, like later on in the growing time of the tomato. They were really good to start. They weren't mealy, they weren't watery, they had really good flavor. These were just like fantastic. Over time, as the plant was in the system for a long time, they did start to get a little mealy, some of the ones near the end. But this is definitely a tomato I'm going to grow again. This is one of my favorites so far, and it's really cool that I could grow a mini slicer in a hydroponic system that has limited growth space like this one. So this is a must grow again. This is, again, the best one I've grown so far. We're kind of starting with the best of the slicers. This is the best one that I can't recommend this one enough. Love it. Okay, so the next one, this is also a slicer tomato, although it's a little smaller. So this is the Puck tomato, and the next 3 are from Victory Seeds, or Victory Seed Company. And what I really like about this seed company is that they specialize, or at least I've noticed that they specialize a lot in dwarf tomatoes. So most of the tomatoes we're going to talk about today are from Victory Seeds. So that's a really good place to go if you want to look for dwarf tomatoes, especially slicers and romas, which a roma is coming up in this video. I haven't tried it yet, but it's the one I'm going to try next. Okay, so the first one is, well, the second one is the Puck tomato, like a hockey puck, and it's pretty small. You know, it's smaller than the Thorburns Terracotta. I like it because it has less stuff on the inside. It's more of like a meaty mini tomato. The color was really pretty. It gets about 18 inches tall. It actually fits perfectly in this area here. I thought it got bigger, but it only gets to be about 18 inches. It might try and get a little taller, but if you trim it, which is pretty easy, it'll stay small. So for this one, like I said, this one was really productive. I got a ton of tomatoes off of this one. And for the life of the tomato plant, I didn't really feel like they got more mealy or the flavor changed. So this was a really good tomato. This one is like my second favorite after the Thorburns, especially for slicers. But this Thorburn is the best so far because it's big. It's a big tomato on a small plant. So, I did want to say something about the Thorburns I forgot to mention. The leaves looked kind of crazy. So I don't know if it's because it's an heirloom variety, but I did notice a lot of like discoloring on the leaves. So if you see that in your system, I kind of worried about it at first, but I was like, it didn't do anything. So like it didn't affect the plant or the fruit. So if you notice that, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But all right, so that's the puck. I definitely will grow these two again. If I were to choose them, I'm going to go back to the Thorburns next, just because I really like that one. Okay, let's talk about one that I'm probably not going to grow again, and then we'll talk about the Dwarf Mocha Cherry down here. So the one I'm probably not going to grow again is called a Rosy Finch. It's actually this one right here. It only gets, well, as you can see, about 10 to 12 inches tall, and it does have a piece growing way up the side, and this is because this is this tomato's second fruit production. So it produced a lot of great tomatoes. Well, it produced a lot of tomatoes. I don't know how great they were, but it produced a lot of tomatoes. It was pretty productive, and I didn't have any other tomatoes started, so I just left it because I noticed it was putting on a second crop. So that's why it looks so sparse. So for the Rosy Finch, I am not a big fan of this tomato. So here's why. It's really watery. It doesn't have a ton of flavor. It's a little sweet, which is nice, but again, the flavor is so watered down and muted. It does have this like pink hue to it that's really pretty, but it's so similar, and that changes almost to red as time passes, but it's so similar to the Red Robin. It technically actually produced fewer tomatoes than the Red Robin, if you were to relate it to the size of the plant. But the big thing I just don't like about this Rosy Finch is the flavor. It just is watery. They're big, so they're not really great for, I guess they're good for snacking size. I don't know. They're an awkward cherry tomato size. And I just was kind of like, I'm not a big fan if the flavor isn't great. So this is one I'm not going to grow again. So that's on my do not grow again list. Okay, so let's talk about this Dwarf Mocha Cherry, which technically is a pretty large cherry tomato. So again, this one is from Victory Seeds, and you guys can see how big it gets. I actually need to adjust my size on here because I had 18 inches written down. I would say it's 18 to 20 inches, and I haven't really trimmed it back here, but this is how tall it's gotten so far. Again, this being 18 inches, so maybe even 22 inches for the height. And it is tipped on its side, so if it were standing straight up, it would be a little taller. This tomato is so pretty, guys. Like, I'll show you guys on the side of the video some pictures and video I've already taken, but this thing is so cool looking, and one thing to note about it is it does require access to light in order to change color. So it's going to look green. And then the more light exposure it has, whether it's artificial light like this or actual sunlight, it'll turn almost dark purple black. So let's actually pluck one off. Oh, cool. It came right off. Isn't that cool? I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll put it in a better spot. Yeah, it's hard with the lighting. I'm going to actually, in a minute, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to take some pictures and show you guys a close-up on my table of this. I'm just like completely impressed with how beautiful this tomato is. So for growing like quality, it's been pretty nice. I mean, it has a lot of fruit on it. Again, I'll show you guys a video clip. The greenery is really pretty. I haven't had any issues with it doing anything funky. And the production's really good. I have at least like 25 tomatoes on it. And when I tried it last time, it tasted pretty good for an unripe tomato. So I'm really pleased with this one. If it continues to taste good, this is definitely one I will grow again. And it's also so cool. I just love that it's purple and black. I don't know. I just think it's really pretty because obviously in hydroponics, I haven't found anything that's different than just my red cherry tomatoes. So this is really cool to be able to try. Okay, so we're actually going to do a taste test on that tomato before we move on to quickly showing you guys what's upcoming with some of my other tomatoes I want to try. So let's get some close-up pictures of that and then we're going to taste it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and taste it. So it looks beautiful. I'll obviously put those pictures up that I took right here on the screen so you guys can see. But it's just like that rich, and it's hard to tell on this, but it's just such a beautiful color. And the inside's really cool. It's kind of green where the seeds are, but the rest is purple. All right, so let's give it a try. It definitely feels ripe, so. It's really good. It actually does have a bit of a like bite to it, I will say. So less sweet and more tart. But it's definitely more flavorful than that Rosy Finch up there. It's kind of thick-skinned. So the skin is a little thick, so it's not like, you know, you kind of like chew on it a little bit. But it's really good. The flavor is really good on this one. At least it doesn't taste just watered down to me. It has actually some flavor and it's beautiful to look at. So I'm really pleased with that one so far. So we'll definitely grow that one again. Okay, so now that we've tried that tomato, let's talk about the ones we're actually going to grow next time. So I do have them here. Okay, so one of them I actually am 99% sure I started growing, and it's called Serendipity. It's also from Victory Seeds. This is actually my last one from Victory Seeds of the plants that I'm trying out, tomatoes. So I'm pretty sure I tried this one before. I looked through all my videos and all my photos, and I could not find a picture of it. And what I remember from growing this is it got huge really fast with no flowers. So I even wrote 30 inches on here because I do remember getting really big. It might have had one cluster of flowers, but I remember the stem being ginormous and it not having much fruit production, like flower production, thus leading to fruit. And I just remember getting frustrated by it and ripping it out. So I don't know if there was another reason why I took it out other than that. But we'll try it again. But I do remember it getting pretty big. Now, it's really pretty. It has it's like a red slicer, mini slicer again. And it has green stripes on it. So I do want to try it again. I'll put a picture up on the screen of what it looks like. But I just remember growing it and I don't know, it just was really large with no fruit yet. And I'm like, this isn't going to fit in here. Now it says on here it produces a heavy yield of round chocolate fruit with vertical green stripes. So I guess that it gets kind of a brown color, like a dark orangish red. But again, so you guys saw the picture, but we'll try this one again, but it's not the one I'm going to try next. The one I'm going to try next, and then I'll show you two more really quick that I'm thinking of trying, is called the Little Napoli Hybrid. So this one is from Totally Tomatoes. So they kind of have a different seed pack. So for this one, this is obviously a hybrid, so it's not an heirloom variety, but the pictures are really cool. So let me put a picture up on the screen of what this looks like. It is a dwarf Roma. And I've been looking for a dwarf Roma. I tried one before. I believe it was called Sunrise something. It was like an orange Roma. And it just got too big for this system. This one is supposed to be upwards of 24 inches. So about the size of the one behind me. And it looks like a true Roma tomato. So I'm really excited to try this one. It is determinate, so it does stop growing like most of these. And it says it takes up to 65 days, which is pretty typical for most of these dwarf varieties. It takes about 60 to 65 days to maturity. A few of them are 68, but that's roughly about where we're at. So I should have some time to grow this one. We are moving to a house in May, June. So I don't know if I'm gonna have time to squeeze it in, but we'll try, because I do want to really try this one. Okay, the last two, these are kind of low on my try list. One of them is called a Little Bing tomato. These are from Pine Tree Garden Seeds. And this tomato, Little Bing, is actually, it's pretty much just a regular cherry tomato. And I've seen this one grown before, and apparently it tastes really good, but it's similar to my Red Robin cherry tomato. So I don't know, like, if I really want to waste my lower space growing just another cherry tomato. I'm happy doing it for like this really cool mocha one, but one that's just going to be red and taste almost exactly like your everyday tomato you would buy in the grocery store. I don't know if I want to use the space for that, but it's on my list of maybe giving it a go. There's another one called Geranium Kiss. And it's been a while since I've looked into this one, but it gets up to 30 inches tall. And it definitely takes that 68 to 70 days to mature. And I think the Geranium Kiss has a little bit of a teardrop shape, if I recall. It's similar to the Heartbreaker, but I could be wrong. I'll put a picture up on the screen. I don't know much about this one. I just saw it and I was like, cool, another tomato variety I haven't tried before. So that's another one I might try. These two I'm like probably, I don't know, maybe I'll try them when I have the outdoor garden, because I am going to do some outdoor gardening because I don't have that option right now in an apartment. So we might try these ones outdoors and then save some of the other varieties for indoors that, you know, like those dwarf romas. Like I really want to try this Napoli hybrid. That one is definitely on my list. Okay, so that's where we stand on our tomato varieties. I'll let you guys know. It probably won't be for a while because it does take, as you heard, up to like, what is that? Almost 3 months from like germination to being fully mature and ripe for me to even share what these tomatoes are like. So maybe we might be able to get another one in on one of our garden tours before we move. So, but yeah, so stay tuned for the garden tours. I release those every month. And then I will have another video on some of the modifications and additions I've made to my garden, which can be specific to my specific hydroponic system, but also just things in general that I've learned to add to the system and to my growing experience that have helped me. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.